I'm fascinated by the idea of genre mashups. When you have an entrenched genre, the tone that you're going to find is usually very similar to other stories in the same genre. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, blending two unrelated genres, say post-apocalyptic murder mystery, ends up with a new and blended tone that usually ends up being surprising and sometimes very striking. The pastiche is a time-honored tradition, but there's a uniqueness value to them, and everyone is slightly different. And I've never seen a pastiche setting work better than the story collection I'm reviewing today. Hello all, welcome to the Book Cafe, where we review books, talk fantasy, and interview industry professionals. If you're a first-time viewer, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and turn on update notifications so you don't miss a video. If you've already done that, then glad to have you back. Today we're going to be talking about a short story collection that I found by accident. After finishing Scott Lynch's Gentleman Bastard series, I went looking for anything else he'd written. Turns out that he was one of several authors approached by Gareth Michael Skarka for a collection of short stories called Tales of the Far West. Tales of the Far West is an interesting concept. It's a blend of the Western and wuxia genres, Kung Fu Cowboys, which has been growing in popularity recently with shows like Into the Badlands. The blend is based around what Skarka sees as the common thread between the two genres. In order to protect civilization from barbarians, someone has to pick up the gun. But once you've picked up the gun, you've become a barbarian. In order to protect civilization, you have to remove yourself from it. The Western mysterious gunslinger and the wuxia itinerant monk are very similar character archetypes. They're the outsiders who protect the weak and powerless from the strong and vicious. They're knight errants in a wilderness that the law can't touch. It's ruled by the whims of petty nobles or landowners. And by choosing that point at which to blend these genres, this setting truly comes alive. The collection opens with Scott Lynch, the first story in the collection, titled He Built the Wall Just to Knock It Down, and it sets the tone perfectly for the rest of the collection. You're introduced to this world of the imperial frontier, when an unimportant man in a dying town ends up catching the attention of an unnamed kung fu gunslinger and begs to become his apprentice. Lynch's introduction to the Far West spans a full quarter of the collection, and honestly, if that had been the entirety of the content, I still would have paid the same price. But it's not. There's a dozen stories in this book. Some of them confusing, some of them too short, but most of them are amazing studies of character and setting. A world where messages are passed by flute players, wandering exorcists carry revolvers, and crippled slaves use steampunk prostheses to take revenge on their masters. No single story gives you more than a hint into this world, and very little of the world is spelled out for you, which enhances the feeling of vastness of the Far West. You feel the distance from the Imperial Center, as well as the resentment and the helplessness of those who are faced with such powerful enemies. While some of the stories I think could do with a rewrite, overall the collection is solid enough that if you can find a copy, I'd recommend buying it new. It's a fairly short read, you can pick it up in chunks, skip around to your favorite stories, and overall it's an ambitious project that I think went really well. Have you read Tales of the Far West? Do you agree with me? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to show it by clicking the like button. Click here on the dragon to subscribe, or here for more videos like this from the Book Cafe. I will see everyone on Wednesday. Until then, read good fantasy.